Let me ask you a question. Do you have an opinion on extensions and how you break things up? And do you break things up for protocols? How do you break things up in your classes or structs?
So I think I've seen a few different ways of doing it. A lot of folks seem to stare at large view controllers and then carve off bits of the view controller into extensions, logically grouped. This is the data source extension for my view controller. This is the delegate data. This is my action handling. This is my about screen, whatever it is for that single view controller. And I don't do that. I don't think you're just moving code around. And I know it makes it easier to understand because part of our job is helping folks come to our code cold and make sense of it by reading through the code. And that's hard to do when you've got a very long view controller, so having some logical grouping does help you. I don't do that. I prefer to use extensions for types I don't control normally. So system types or someone else's types that I've imported from a framework where I can add things to them to make them easier to use. For the other case, I'd just tear it out and make a new controller for my data source. That's how I do it.
I do a lot of extensions, and I had someone push back recently and say, and I do it because you can see this is the part that does that, this is the part that does that. And what he said was he comes to code, and now he doesn't know this thing conforms to all these protocols. He has to go down and look to see, oh, it's equatable, and so he didn't like that. I'm torn. As a book author, when I'm writing the toy code for my books, it makes it nice because I can show you just this little piece.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I would do it in an app. I don't know yet.
So what I have done for when I'm conforming to protocols with extensions, I'd often put that in a file called something like mytype-codable.swift. So you sort of see from a glance, this bit is my type making it conform to codable. But it's challenging because there is no one magic perfect silver bullet. Otherwise, we'd all be using that from years ago, right? We're all still trying to figure it out, and there are always pros and cons. And you try one thing and it works for a while, and try something else and that works for a while, and that's the nature of the beast, really.
So I've started doing something that people hate, and it's in Swift UI. I've been taking the part that conforms to view and moving it to a separate extension.
Yeah,
and the reason I do it is because people would think, especially once you get to listen things, that these are very expensive. And it's nice to be able to show them the struct that the only thing that's in memory is this, that the body is a computed property. And so it shows you that these things that you're creating are very lightweight in memory. And so that's why I started doing it, was to emphasize these things are very cheap that we're building.
Yeah.
And even if we're building a ton of them, this thing only holds an int, or it only holds a reference. It's a binding to a double. And so even though body is very complex because it includes foreground color and all that other nonsense, that's a computed property. Who cares?
Right. And it's.
But I understand the look on your face when I said it.
No. That bit I can. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that part, but encouraging folks to think about the size of things is important. And I did write about that a few months ago. I was saying, listen, if you have a user view struct which conforms to the view protocol and has 3 integers or a string and 2 integers or whatever it is, and then a massive body with vstacks and hstacks, whatever, the total size of that struct is an int plus a string. There's nothing else around it. There's no magic strapped around it. There's no complexity strapped around it. We don't think twice about creating 10,000 integers because it's basically free. It just goes on the stack. Same for 100,000 if you had to, but people think, oh, this view must be expensive. It's really not. SwiftUI views are super cheap, and they can be created and disposed many, many times with little or no performance impact.